Somebody Piso back once again with yet another video. We are here somewhere. We're in Brooklyn. But I wanted to tell you guys, we're gonna get metaphysical again. I like to talk about really deep esoteric things because this is the only important thing in life. Yes, it's good to groom yourself. Yes, it's good to wear the Calvin Klein. Yes, it's good to have the Golden Goose. Yes, it's good to have the Bottega Veneta, the Prive, Giorgio Armani. Of course, if you could afford these things, because you have to look nice, right? But then what's even more important than all of those things is having a spiritual understanding and having spiritual discipline. No one in the world has spiritual discipline, and in fact, because they don't have spiritual discipline, they make themselves victim to overarching spiritual forces in the world that cause them to act out in ways that they aren't really conscious of. I'm gonna explain that right now, right here, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. I'm gonna talk about the nature of light. Not like the physical nature that this dude, Isaac Newton, was talking about in terms of light being reflected from, coming from the sun in rays, and then when they enter our atmosphere, they are split into 7 colors because light is composed only of 7 colors, which are of various vibrations and wavelengths. No. We know that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about that ultimate, that what the ascetics call inner light, that spiritual light, the one that comes about when you do genuine actions in the world without any hint of manipulation, without any hint of darkness. When you develop that inner light, you have no choice but to shine that inner light. In the New Testament, Jesus says that there's no such thing as a candle being able to be hid. You can't put a blanket over a candle. The whole point of a candle is to bring light, is to bring understanding, is to bring awareness. When you develop that inner light, by the way, which is through your actions, but also in order to keep your actions consistent, consistently good, consistently altruistic, consistently benevolent, you have to have a discipline of body and mind and spirituality, so you are able to reflexively do these good actions. That discipline comes through semen retention. It comes through celibacy. I know a lot of you guys joined the channel, right, because of my talks on semen retention. And don't get me wrong, no matter what heathenism befalls the world or what the heathen groups that I walk through, best believe that if I'm in front of a camera, I am most likely going to be on semen retention. Most likely, 99.99%, for sure. Semen retention has helped me intensely because it's caused me not only to have control over the proclivity of mind, right? The reflexive nature of negative thoughts being in the world as someone that's trapped in flesh, which is that eternal enmity with the spirit and your soul, right? I have control over those thoughts now. I've created an aqueduct for my willpower, for the physical senses. Let me explain that. And so a lot of people have trouble with lust, right? They look at, like us, especially us in the semen retention space, a lot of guys can't get very far because they look at something or they glance at something and then it stays in the back of their mind until the end of the day, and then they go on the computer and they look up adult film content and then they already lost their streak. What I've done is that I've been on semen retention for a very long time. I've been on and off of the practice for nearly a decade, and I've developed a lot. I've understood the myriad ways that life sends temptations at you, right? And so by monitoring those ways, and I've done a lot of writing as well, I've done a lot of studying of it as well, I've done a lot of experimentation, I started to not only understand how life attacks you through temptation, I started to create a system in my mind on how to deal with that. And so I've gotten very far. This time I'm 6 months of semen retention, and I'm not gonna fail anytime soon because I just understand the nature of lust. I understand the nature of life's methods of attack. And so getting back to the topic at hand, light is a very interesting thing. When you are on semen retention, you build a lot of inner light. You build a lot of inner energy. And even though you could have been a playboy, right? You could have been a party guy. Everyone likes you. You're the talk of the town. When you start to do good, objectively good, altruistic action, and you implement good disciplines that incorporates the key words penance and renunciation. Penance, which is giving back all the time. You are always in a state of giving. You are always in a state of donating, right? That's penance. Renunciation is giving up a lot of the habits that you used to find solace in, like, you know, going out with your friends and drinking alcohol on Sundays because it's cathartic, or smoking marijuana in the park because not only it's allowed by police now in New York City, but it allows you to deal with a lot of pressures of life, and you don't feel so anxious anymore, right? All of this, when you start to renounce these habits, when you start to renounce these actions, you are now becoming more and more polarized in your power and your strength. And you're becoming someone that's not reflecting light, but you are emitting light. When you start to emit light, now we're getting into the crux of this video, right? When you start to emit light, you will start to be hated by the world around you immensely. I'm gonna repeat that. When you start to emit light, true light, due to what I've said before, renunciation and penance, constant renunciation and penance, you're going to emit an energy that's going to repel people, it's going to repulse people. The reason why it does that is because what I've said earlier, a lot of people are not disciplined. They take on a lot of habits that feel comfortable because they believe subconsciously, because they don't consciously think about these thoughts, because when you consciously break it down, when you even have it in your conscious mind, you automatically break it down and realize that there's a lie that you're living, right? People subconsciously believe that they are human, and so all the pleasures of being human, fulfilling yourself with the sense pleasures, right? Pleasures of sex, pleasures of the euphoria of mind and all that kind of stuff. We are allowed to do that because we are human. We could do whatever we want. There is no limit to the amount of pleasure that we should seek and feel because we are here. This is what it is. If we go through chastening, if we go through discipline, that means that there is resistance, and that means that it's not natural, and so we are not supposed to do it. These are the thoughts that the multitude, the humans, right? People, everyone else, they love these thoughts. These are the ones that they revel in. And so because that nature, and it doesn't matter what culture they're from, by the way, it does not matter. When you start to become that broadcaster of light and you start to involve yourself in the world, going through people like this, there's going to be like this sort of guttural disgust for you, and they're not gonna understand why. You're not gonna understand why you're getting all this aggression from them in looks, in the way that they act towards you, the way that they speak, the way that they are physically with you. You're not gonna understand where this is coming from if you are not privy to the underlying metaphysical forces that govern the world, right? When you are broadcasting light, there's also that contradictory nature of the people of the world that are of like the lower, that are of the fulfilling the sense pleasures, the being pleasured, being fulfilled, you know, in all the pleasurable ways, right? They're gonna also want to covet that energy for themselves. There's a lot, I'm telling you guys, this is not madness. I'm sure a lot of you guys experience this too. People want this light for yourselves. They want to be around you. So there's almost a siphoning of your energy within their actions because you are associating with them. And so they seem bigger than who they are to the people of the world. You see, they don't like your light, but they want your light in order to seem much more presentable to the people of the world that don't have that light and are committing the same actions as they are. They want that ultimate light that you have, that you carry, that you've built through refinery, to keep doing evil, to keep subconsciously being bad. That's all they want it for. They read these religious texts. They understand discipline. They understand these things because this 2026, there are people in Colombia that are making 800 USD a month, and they understand how to code. They understand about stocks and bonds. They understand the direction of American politics. With that being said, if they can understand all of that, why is it that they don't understand the underlying force that governs us all? Most people are very, very primal, right, in nature. And so that whole non-verbal language, right, emotional tones, the energy levels that people feel, if they feel this and they're not attributing it to anything, or they're pretending that they're not attributing it to anything, that means that something is not connecting, something is not making sense. Just to not get sidetracked, remember, the more you build yourself on semen retention, the more discipline that you enact upon yourself, the more the people of the world are not only gonna start hating you, they're gonna start trying to manipulate you to have access to your energy without having to fulfill any consequences or being reciprocative in any way to rise to the level to build that energy for themselves, which means being a good person, which means being benevolent, which means being altruistic. This is the only truth about this world, right? So we have people in the world, they wear their crosses, they wear their Star of Davids, they wear their beads, right? The jade, the amethyst, the tiger eye, all this kind of stuff, to augment how their energy is being broadcasted from their body in order to influence and to subtly manipulate the people of the world around them. This is the only reason why they do this stuff. They don't do it for personal growth. If it is for personal growth, it's of a manipulative nature and it's of a manipulative end, right? Because generally the people of the world are not very, very good people. That's just is what it is. And you can't be angry at who they are. You can't hate them. You shouldn't feel hate anyway. The more you ascend on semen retention, you're gonna realize that a lot of emotions it costs energy to retain in the body, and so you will do you better to let go of them. You don't hate anyone. You don't be angry at anyone. You just understand that this has always been the way of the world, and it always will be the way of the world until the end of time. It is much harder. What did Jesus say? It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. People are not going to do the work to be a good person because it requires humiliation, it requires sacrifice of nature, and it requires the sacrifice of who you thought you were and who you thought you needed to become in order to triumph over the world. This is just the way it is. To have that sacrifice, to be able to enact it every single day is something that is super commendable. It's very, very brave. And also you need to understand that the nature of your very existence, the way that you even interact with the world, the way that you interact with yourself is going to change drastically and radically the longer you are on the practice of semen retention. You need to understand this. It's very, very important and imperative for your mental health and safety that you do. Personally, I went through a lot on this practice. I'm gonna try to wrap it up just because this video's been running longer than it should have. In the past, I used to have a lot of groups of friends, right? I had a very, very good time. I had friends that I used to play video games with, play sports with, go out paintballing with, hang out in the city with, all this kind of stuff. And I realized that, like I said in an earlier video, in 2012, when I started like seeing the numbers everywhere, like 7 and 13 and all these special numbers, and I started becoming more spiritual, I lost almost like 80% of my friends. I lost all of them, right? And I started to chase this because I always wanted to understand more about the world. I always wanted to chase more of the world. And don't get me wrong, I made a lot of mistakes. I got into semen retention, and then I validated to myself that as long as I'm not looking at adult film content, anything else is permissible. And so I got into the dark world of sex workers, and that was a trip and a half. And so I spent years clearing up that energy that was accumulated from that through more semen retention. And now I could say on the latter end, having mastered the practice, I still feel no different than how I felt in 2012 when I started to become more spiritual and started to see special numbers everywhere and started to see their relation in many religious texts without any support from family and friends. Just want to let you know, with much to their chagrin and ignorance and ultimately marginalization. Ending here, I want to tell you guys that please do not be afraid of the actions that you will most likely take on your practices of semen retention and ascension due to the information that is being downloaded to you from the outside world, from the spiritual world, from the metaphysical world. Please do not be afraid. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a huge journey. You're not going to have anyone with you. No one's going to help you. No one will. But at the end of it, you will find exactly what it is that you were looking for in the first place, or even better. So with that being said, guys, that is all I have to say about light and energy and semen retention. If you guys enjoy that kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, share the video with some peers. Don't ever let this place get you down. I am telling you, I am telling you, I am telling you, I am telling you, I am telling you. There's a quote that I read in, what was it, Mark? I think in the book of Mark, Gospel of Mark, sorry, it's because it's a gospel, where Jesus said, in the latter days, many will pretend to be Christ. Many will pretend to be prophets. Many will be renewed, and many will be tried in order to be renewed, in order to be in white. And do not be dismayed by the heathen, by what the signs that the heathen are looking for in regards to an ultimate change that will befall the world or something like that. You have to stay still. Understand your faith, be disciplined, renew yourself, renew yourself, renew yourself constantly, practice, renounce, and constantly be in a state of penance. You will ascend. It will hurt. It will hurt a lot, but it is for your own good. Understand that what you are doing, the moment that you take these first steps towards semen retention, towards being in a state of penance, towards renunciation, you are doing something that 99% of the world is not even on right now, no matter what kind of riches they show you. And so I'm gonna end the video with that. Guys, I love you all. Stay radiant. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Woo!